Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Capes Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, Richard Wilson of Halloween Girl. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? And I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Thank you, man, and thank you for having me. And I want to say, I got to thank you for doing what you do. And I don't know how the hell you do it because you're always on. I mean, I've seen the energy drinks. I've seen, I mean, you are like, you know, a miracle, my boy, because I don't know how you keep all this going. You do a great job.
Thank you.
I think it's terrific the way you spotlight everybody.
Yeah, I used to be a salesman for quite some time growing up. You know, for about 15 years, door-to-door salesman,
really,
retail store salesman. So I have like a knack for talking. My girlfriend, she's a chat. Yeah, she's a chat right now. She'll tell you. I could probably talk your ear off if you want me to. So I kind of just harness that energy, and I'm like, well, what if I only talk like 20% of the time and let other people do the 80%? Then I have a whole lot to say, and I can spread it out.
I actually literally look at whatever energy drinks you're drinking, and I'm thinking, like you had Rockstar one time and you had your Mountain Dew the other night, and you know, and I'm like, I'm just like making a list, you know. So, you know, and I thought, do I need Mountain Dew? Yeah, I probably do.
Mountain Dew, if you're listening, I'm your man. Sponsor me. Give me that 10% off. Let's go.
Really?
But yeah, you know, I love comics. I grew up, you know, loving comics, reading comics. And hopefully one day, maybe I'll create them. You know, that's kind of.
I heard you talking about that.
Maybe, but for now, let's talk about yours, though. Let's talk about you as a comic creator.
Okay. I mean, well, Halloween Girl is basically an offshoot of some films that we made. We actually filmed we made 4 films: The Halloween Girl, and we did a web series called Under the Flowers, where Charlotte, who's the Halloween Girl, and her friend continue. And I did that, but prior to all that, I did educational work for years. Mm-hmm. You know, I did things to raise awareness about, you know, mental health issues with kids and family issues, and you know, raise awareness about gun violence and everything. You know,
that's really
many,
cool.
many years. And I did that kind of work. As that was winding up, because I was really getting burnt out, I did that kind of work for about 25 years. And lost my parents one right after the other. And I'm sitting there after my mom, she was the last one to pass away, but they were only months apart. And I sat there with my wife in the backyard, and we're just sitting there, you know, just grieving. And I'm like, I got to take some of this money and do something to get this out of my system. Mm-hmm. But, and that's how the Halloween Girl was born. And I thought it was just going to be a one shot and do the film, and I'd be back in action.
It never works like that, though.
No, it doesn't work like that. No, it took me, it's a long story, but I'm just saying I did it. The film did really well. Mm-hmm. And it was probably the first time I felt like I was really doing something for myself. Because, I mean, I worked for nonprofits as a contractor for years. Richard, we need something on drug addiction. We need something on compulsive gambling. And I would interview everybody and go into the communities. I loved the work. I loved talking to the kids. But it was very painful.
Oh yeah.
You know? And it really took a lot out of me, and really. So I did this, this happened. It did really well. We got great screenings and all that stuff, and then I couldn't let it go. And Under the Flowers was born, and I kept going with that. And we did 3 seasons of that, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I mean. Not that I'd taken film and what I could do as an independent filmmaker so far. And I didn't have anything left. I was really happy with what we did, but I did not, as an indie filmmaker, I couldn't do the things that were in my head. You know?
What were some of the things in your head?
The comics. I mean, the things, the graphic novels, I mean, are really the things, and there was no way I could film these things. Mm-hmm. I could never budget these things, you know. There was no way we were going to raise money. You know, it was impossible to do as a little tiny team of film guys. And I have a great team, but you know, we can only do what we can do. So I went ahead and I said, I didn't tell my wife because I was just like, I'm going to try and do this graphic novel thing. And so I took the original Halloween Girl film, and I started to secretly try and write a graphic novel based on the script, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm praying to God it works. You know what I mean? Because Cody, I had no effing idea what I was going to do. You know, I mean, here I was at, 50, whatever, I was like, what's left,
Mm-hmm.
It was a difficult time.
Did you have like any experience? I know you had script writing experience, but did you do any sort of comics before this?
No, I never did. I'm just a fan.
What was that transition from like a film script to a comic script for you? What did that look like?
I feel like they're related. I feel like they are really close cousins. So to me, there was not the things I gravitate to in film are right there in comics with the visuals and it's dialogue and we're moving, and it's not, I'm not a novelist, I can't just write exposition, I gotta rock and roll. I gotta get in there, And so comics do that. Comics are, really comics, rock and roll, movies. Let's go.
Yeah. So did you feel like
for me? And I sat there and I worked on it for a couple weeks. And one day we're driving, it's Friday night, we're driving out somewhere and I'm just dying inside. I'm like, I'm so excited. I think this is going to work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, and I'll never forget that feeling of like, just joy and just relief that I didn't know that I could do it, but I did it and I connected to it in such a big way that I was off to the races. And so I wrote an adaptation of the original film, and then long story short, spun off into all new adventures and threw the book away. Okay. So that's why I said to you earlier, you said, well, Halloween Girl, the film, then there's the Under the Flowers series. I said, well, the original Halloween Girl film's great to watch because it gives you a setup for Charlotte and stuff. But the Under the Flowers things, people think that they're all connected. And I learned when we pushed the first issue, please, I better stop talking about it because people are going back watching it and saying, well, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't get it either, dude. I really don't, because they're not really, it's a side story. You know what I mean? It's a separate timeline. It's a different universe. And I said, and like I said to you this morning, I don't know how much I'm even going to pull from those things. I have a 4th season that I wrote. That would be cool.
What was your wife's initial reaction when you finally broke the news to her? You were all beaming with excitement, and when you told her,
she was thrilled because she knew that I was really, like, it had been a really, I'm not gonna lie, it's just been, it's been a real transitional period. I did not have a great relationship with my folks, so when they were gone, there was a lot going on inside. And the films, I think they turned out great. But there's all kinds of stuff that I look back on that was coming out in that. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, it all caught up with me during the pandemic. And so these books have been written during, a time of real duress for me. I really had to reach out and say, I can't do this by myself. You know what I mean? It all caught up, but I've spent my life, thinking, and I want to say this to people who are writers out there and creators. Don't make the mistake, and this is an old man telling you this, don't make the mistake of thinking you can keep one step ahead by creating. I used to read what Bowie would say. Bowie's like God to me, and he'd say, I'm just trying to keep ahead of the mental illness in my family, so I don't wind up there. And I said, that's me, man. Okay, and I'm like, and I'm writing, and people would say, man, my God, you're always moving on a new project, as if it was like a competition. I'm thinking, if I don't do this, I'm going bananas.
I think that's the same thing for me, really. Like, you go crazy without it, right?
To look at, but it's something that I say that because, again, when you're this way your whole life and you come into the world this way, you don't think it's different. It's just the way you are.
Yeah.
And that's true. But at the same time, I was shocked. I thought I had it all, down, but no. So I'm just trying to say that, if you think you might need a tune-up, go get one. That's all.
No. And do you mean like therapy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think I went to therapy probably 2-3 years ago, and it was probably the best decision I ever made in my life.
Me too.
I unpacked a lot. I had a really strange experience though. My therapist cried, during my, and like I was like, I was sitting there and I was like, I don't think this is like supposed to happen. Like it made me really like I was like, am I that bad of a like, is it that bad? like damn.
Am I the worst patient you've ever had?
Like what is going on?
Yeah, but, no, that's, wow, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean,
we ended up working through it though, 8-week program, and you know, it really changed my perspective, my thought process, and I think that's like one of the hardest things to do. Really, is kind of how you view things.
Yes, it is, and again, Cody, you know, you come into this deal, and creative people, I mean, everybody comes in, you know, we're a little different, and we don't see things the same way, which is that's the gig. But at the same time, you don't realize that maybe you don't make enough serotonin in your brain. Maybe you don't do this, you know, there's a lot of things that could be helping, you know? And I was one of those people, I think, even as much as I did a lot of mental health awareness my whole life, that was kind of my whole career. I was somebody who thought, yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything for me. You know, the art thing is my thing, you know, and that takes care of me. And, you know, but anyway, I don't want to digress too much, you know, but there's a lot of that kind of working through those things, and a lot of things that we've been through as a world the last couple of years in the books.
So how was that, like opening those wounds, like, you know, like reliving through that?
Some of it was in real time. The first book that's coming out now, you know, in issues, and the whole book will be out this fall. That was written 2 years ago when I was kind of just enjoying the joy of being able to do this. You know what I mean? Like and I've had joy the entire time, everything I've written since. But when that wound up, which is literally 2 years ago this month, I finished that book. I started on the second book. A couple months later, and that's when things started to feel like, how come I can't, you know, things started to feel like they were going, you know, sideways. And it's a much darker book, the second book. It's called Gods and Monsters.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very dark book. And
I was gonna say, the previews that you sent me of 3, like even that looks even darker too.
Petro Vaughn is the artist who's doing issue 3.
I was gonna say, it looked like a different art style as well.
No, yeah, we've got several. We've got, like, you know, half
gorgeous
dozen.
Though, gorgeous.
Yeah, really, really terrific. And he's very dark and dramatic, very old style Warren Publishing, Skywald from the early 70s, all that great old black and white horror comic stuff. And I just want to, before I forget, give props to Stephen Mullen, who did these first 2 issues. My God, I mean, he was just like, he set the freaking table. Yeah, I love this kid. You know what I mean? I want to adopt this kid. Maybe he'll marry my daughter. I don't know, but he's got to become part of the family. All right. I just think he's just the greatest. He's from Ireland. That's awesome.
Hey, happy Father's Day, by the way. Belated Happy Father's Day. That was.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Yes, my daughter and my wife were off on a girls' trip. There was no way I was going to go because I hate the heat. They went to Italy.
So man, it's been sweltering lately too.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm like, have fun. You know, they're having a good time. Yeah, you know, but they're awesome. I really do the best wife and daughter, and I really do. Very supportive, very great people, and we're very proud of our daughter. I'm going to just like brag.
Go ahead.
She works over at Saturday Night Live.
What?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Wow.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I'm still like kind of. She's working there for a while, and I'm still like, you really? Are you fooling with me, or you work there? She's like, yeah. You know the department that makes all the fake commercials and all that stuff. That production unit. That's where she works.
That is so cool. That is awesome. Yeah. You're rubbing off on your daughter, because you yourself have some rather impressive accomplishments too.
Well, thank you. And, you know, I mean, she was around us, you know, it's a family affair. My wife was involved. You know, we were all making films literally here in the house. About 52 million films were made here in the house.
That is so awesome.
You know, and neighbors' houses and things like that since she was a little girl. So, and she is very, very talented. She's incredible. She just had her first producer's credit on Saturday Night Live a couple weeks ago. So I'm very proud of her.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to brag too often, but I figure they're not around. I can do what I want. You know? So I love her. She's great. And
watching this video is going to go viral, and she's going to be texting you right afterwards, like, what did you do?
Yeah.
So real quick, let's start diving kind of back into things. I do have a question that I'm kind of curious about. Do you think the fact that you created films previously kind of gave you like a step up when you started creating comics because you had that script, capability?
Yeah, I do. I think that comics and film are very, they're cousins. I think that they're very similar. They have the same dynamics. We're looking at pictures. Mm-hmm. We're experiencing dialogue. There's lots of action, and after a while, I mean, people would. I mean, I guarantee you, I never did storyboards, but there are many filmmakers who rely on storyboards, and I think it's a lot like storyboarding from what I've seen when I've seen other people's storyboards or whatever. I mean, you're just. To me, see, I'm not an orthodox person in any way, shape, or form. It's like, who cares how you're doing it?
Yeah.
I'm not like
you're doing it, right?
I make films. Who freaking cares, man? You just have a story to tell. You get out there, you tell it, and if it works here, great. Maybe it's a song. I don't know. Maybe it's this, but I just am attracted to visuals, and I love dialogue. I love the poetry in dialogue. And so that's what I experienced when I watch films, when I would write for films, and I do the same thing with the books. It's just, to me, it's all music, and I mean, it's when I would write the dialogue, I would always say, it's music, it's beats to me.
So do you think it would, like, just out of curiosity, do you think it would be it was easier going from films to comics than it would have been going from comics to films? Or are they just too alike in that medium where it would have just not really mattered too much?
I think it's, let me see. I think it's easier to pare down when you're getting, like, with film, you've got so many moving parts.
Yeah.
When you're going with comics, and I'm not saying there aren't moving parts, there sure are, but when you're doing something that's an indie thing, I mean, the people that I'm hiring are also doing not just beautiful art, but they're doing lettering, most of it. So it's everything. It's just me and that other person. On that
production team, it's a lot more.
I love it. It's a lot more. I love doing what I did, and I had the best crew in the world, and I loved working with the actors. I mean, there's but at this point in my life, it's a lot more fun just to write the story and interact with the artist.
It has to almost be like liberating to do what you visualize without being like held by like bounds of like film.
Right. I can go anywhere and do anything I want to do now. And these incredible artists. We've got a great like group of them. Steven did the first 2 chapters. Petro's doing the 3rd. Luna's doing the 4th chapter, and Sharif's doing the 5th, and Eleanor is doing the 6th and 7th. I mean, they're just incredible, and they all fit the vibe really well. They do the black and white comic thing. They've got all the drama and the dark drama and they can also turn on make a turn and be light, and you know what I mean, like, it's just they all have that gift, and it's a lot of fun to do that now. I wouldn't want to do anything else at this point. I would never. I'm done with film, you know what I mean. I've enjoyed it. I had a great career, I'm good,
Hey, no,
so
I got you.
I do think they're both very closely related mediums. Yeah.
So while we're here, let's go ahead and start diving into Halloween Girl. What kind of drove you to go with the horror aspect of it, the Halloween aspect of it, and kind of let's start breaking down Charlotte as well, and Poe, since Poe's her sidekick as well.
Yeah. I always loved. I'm going to just talk about things I'm a fan of now that always stuck in the back of my mind, because when I was a kid, I brought props. When I was a kid, when I was really little, these are like original, like,
whoa,
yeah, right, 50 freaking years old, had this Tomb of Dracula, got it down the shore when I was a little kid, blew my mind. And then my mother, without opening the magazine in the supermarket, bought me this.
Oh, she had no idea.
She had no clue as an 8-year-old. Okay? So you're getting a picture of where things are going.
Oh, you were probably like, thank you.
Oh, my God, thank you, Mom. Thank you. And these are originals. These are the actual things. This scared the crap out. This was the black and white horror thing. This was my introduction to that too. And I was just like, oh my God. And this is an incredible issue for people who are into it. Find it somewhere because it is so effing good. But those stuck with me, and I loved horror comics from that period when I was a little kid. And then drifted off into rock and roll and and everything. I got it just into that. But then as I'm in my mid-20s, and Frank Miller's doing the Batman Dark Knight thing, I'm in the bookstore, and I just got married, and my wife's off doing something. I'm in the bookstore, and I'm like, what's this? And I pick up the Dark Knight. I said, holy crap, this is not what I remember. Like, this is really cool. Like, this is great. Because I love Batman. I was a big fan when I was a little kid. And so then I really had the bug. It bit me. And over time, like from that point on, I would just be interested in different things. I keep up with what was happening with graphic novels. But I have to tell you, Neil Gaiman I blame this all on him, essentially, because his character Death is the character that really stuck with me. And I thought something inside of me said, I could do something like this. If I were doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Boy, that would be fun. And, flash forward a million years later, and that's where the inspiration for the Halloween Girl comes from. I've always written for teenagers. All my work has been for teenagers. There's nothing, that's just who I write for. I just have a rest.
So do you think your influences, like creating the media for the different things previously kind of helped you create the character of Luke? Like, it kind of seemed like Luke kind of had a battered life a little bit, kind of wasn't treated exactly the best, so was there any influence from what you did previously that kind of bled into this?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I was still taking also the aesthetic from what I was, the way I was filming a lot of things with the Halloween Girl. I changed more with the Under the Flower series, which was very intense, very right, we're right in everybody's face, literally. And yeah, there was a lot of that. I mean, you have to understand, by the time I started to make that film, I'd made 1 million films about kids with problems, talked to a lot of kids for many, many years. So yeah, it's all one big stew of that. And so it kind of, it swims in all the different characters or whatever. Everybody's got, everybody is got their problems, in this book, but they try and hang in there, do the right thing, work it out, and help other people. And I want it to be about kindness. I want it to be not about, man, things suck, the world sucks. It's like, yeah, okay. It takes a lot more work to say, look, yeah, it does suck, and we can do what we can do and make it better.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you read a comic,
smile. I don't care.
When you read a comics to escape from that, right? It's you're kind of getting away from that. Why would you want to read about that? Be immersed back into it.
Right. And I mean, I just try and be, it's really an extension of, it's more me. I mean, like Poe and Charlotte are basically me just kind of chopped in half. You know what I mean? And but the books are basically, I'm more myself, and I'm having more fun just telling stories I want to tell. And again, it's funny, I would write things like this when I was in my early 20s, for instance. I would write experimental fiction and stuff, and I have a really good time, And, life sweeps you along, you're all doing other things, and, but that's what it reminds me of. It takes me back to when I was really young, and how I like to just go these places. And some people are not, some people, fortunately enough, people are up for it. So I'm glad for that. But some people are like, well, I don't understand what's happening. It's like, well, it's just, things shift and change. And, I write like I dream, that's.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have I got to know, you got a fear of spiders as well?
think I probably do, because I seem a little obsessed with them, you know? I think I do, you know, like even when I was a kid, but I was always like obsessed with bugs and stuff like that. Yeah.
My worst, like, you know, I wouldn't say I'm like afraid of spiders, but like if I'm walking somewhere and I feel the cobwebs in my hair, I get that feeling, and you're like, oh, that's somewhere, like.
Yeah. Well, I always, when I was little, it's like the black widow spider used to scare the crap out of me, you know?
Oh yeah, we used to stay up in West Virginia when I was a kid, and I'd see them.
Oh man,
they were like huge, and it was like
I can imagine.
Scary.
Yeah, those are the ones that I would see in the books. You know, my grandmother would buy me these Hal and Y books about dinosaurs and, you know, insects or whatever, and so I was like petrified but fascinated. You know what I mean? Like, so with all that stuff.
That is so awesome. Hey, I think right now is a perfect time. We are actually going to take the opportunity to dive into SU1 with Richard.
Cool.
So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to continue breaking things down after diving into this. So let's go ahead. Yeah, so I really love this cover right here. So hold on one second. It's not scrolling down for me. Uh-oh. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I must have. It was not scrolling for me. That's so weird.
I've had that problem too, though. With I think it's because they're such large files. You know.
Hold on 1 second. We should be good, I think. All right, so right here is the cover.
Right.
We see Charlotte. We see Poe right off here in the
Poe
distance.
In the background,
I love this right now, and all these little spheres dancing around her.
Yeah, that's our girl.
And then we see this Halloween bucket, and there's a rather ominous-looking spider in this.
Right.
So what was some of your inspiration and guidance for this cover design?
You know what? I have to say, I can go right to this inspiration. And Mike Mayhew, I just love his covers. You know, he did, you know, he did a couple Vampirilla covers. I think a couple for Harris and me, and a couple for Dynamite when they picked her up. And there was this one cover which has her coming right up. She's on her knee, you know what I mean? And she's just, and there's stuff in the background that it's part of the world, but it's not part of the, you know, it's like two different worlds. I love that cover, and I sent it to Steven, and I said, something like that, you know, with Poe in the background and some ghosts, and he just went to town. But honestly, Mike Mayhew's covers are, as far as, he's one of the most modern people that I like, you know, but mostly it's like, you know, older artists like Heinrich Torres and things like that.
That's awesome. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah, I'm having trouble with the scrolling. Sorry, I thought this was.
That's okay.
It keeps on like going bonkers for me. So let me try to get this scrolled down. All right, I think we're good. We're good as long as I don't use my mouse.
Okay,
should be good. So right here is the interior, and this is the credit page. So we're at volume 1, Promises to Keep.
Right, that's the title for the entire volume, the whole book.
So and then that's the name of your publishing label as well, Mad Shelby Comics.
Mad Shelley Comics. We just switched from Mad Shelley Films to Mad Shelley Comics. Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind the name?
You know what? Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley's husband, great poet. He always fascinated me. Yes, of course, I love Mary Shelley. I'm not, you know, but he fascinated me. I was in high school and I read. I was always into classic lit, and I was reading in the back of our classic lit book about him. And he would, when he was at school, he would do all kinds of crazy stuff. And so all his classmates would tease him, and he'd call him Mad Shelley. And I said, I dig this guy. He sounds just like me. You know what I mean? And so I never forgot that. I read the poem, Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. They had a cutting from it in the book. And I have to say, it wasn't just the story about him, it was the poem and then reading about him. And I never forgot that. And I just was instantly, this is my guy, you know?
That's awesome.
So Mad Shelley Films is definitely a Percy Shelley nod. And that particular poem is also featured at the very beginning of The Halloween Girl. There's a little clip of a piece of poetry at the very beginning before the film starts.
Okay.
And
no, that's cool. See, I never would have guessed. I'm happy I asked that question.
Beautiful poem. Into Intellectual Beauty. Terrible title. Just an incredible poem, though. Just dark and haunting and graveyards, and it's awesome.
All right. So speaking of graveyards,
and there's Charlotte in the in-between, which is basically her place that she goes now that she's dead to figure crap out. It's kind of like her, you know, I just had a brain fart. Superman, when he goes to his thing, you know.
So why like a murky forest? You know, why put her in that for her own little fortress of solitude?
Yeah, thank you. Fortress of Solitude just went right out of my head. I have an obsession with forests. I love woods. When anybody who watches Under the Flowers will see, why are they always in the freaking woods and old homes? That's kind of the town I grew up in. There's a great park there called Crystal Springs Park, so I named the town in the Halloween Girl Crystal Springs. It's also where Walt Whitman wrote some of his work. In the summers, he would come there and write. He had a house there in Laurel Springs, and so we shot actually some of the Whitman house. But all the woods and things like that, I just love the idea of she's going into a dead forest, and just things will pop up on the trees, around the trees, to give her clues. You know, for her journey. Okay, this is your next mission. Figure this out. It's all
I like that. That's awesome.
So every time she goes in, and she goes in to figure stuff out. When she goes in later in the book and in other books, I mean, she sees whole like little vignettes happening, you know, that attack her in some cases. You know what I mean? And then she's got to figure out what the hell was that. And then
this sounds like it sounds like such a really immersive like concept too. I really, you know, for me, like nature and like the woods has always been like a nice like little getaway. But at night it's like a totally different world, right? It's like creepy, it's like scary, it's you have no idea what's lurking out there. So I love the duality of it.
And I mean again, I grew up in this town, Laurel Springs, that I absolutely love. Now I don't live far from it, and it's a really old little American town, ancient town. And we had this great park, and we'd get into all kinds of trouble just growing up there. You know what I mean? At night, down there drinking beer, we're not, you know, and all this stuff, and police chasing you, you know, like, and just, but it was magic. It was like if you've ever read Midsummer Night's Dream, you know what I mean? It was like that. I go back there now, you know, as an ancient human being, just to sit there and just soak up the energy. And we shot a lot of film there, let me tell you. That place has great energy, you know. So
let's take a look at here is a nice, I love this little scene right here, like the faces in the tree right here.
Right.
And then
which is also kind of like very Wizard of Oz. I love Wizard of Oz.
So Candy from Strangers was a really interesting name for chapter 1 as well, I thought.
Right.
I like a little premonition there.
Yeah. And I like how Stephen has like this whole very like 70s kind of like Mary Jane, Spider-Man kind of like look for Charlotte, you know?
So she's getting some same music every
she's
time.
In there, she's listening, she hears some music, which is that's a thing that will continue throughout the books. What the hell is that song? And by the 4th book, we start to figure it out what it is. You know,
she sees a little
long time away from this book, but I'm writing that now. So she hears that, she goes down, she checks out this jack-o'-lantern. What the hell is this? You know, okay, well, I guess you're the latest clue, you know. And so she goes in there, big ass spider comes jumping out, you know. And she's like,
I love this too, the how ominous it looks and like just like dark and murky.
Yeah. And Stephen gives them like these human skull heads, you know.
Oh yeah,
awesome. I love that. So that the old spider pops out of there and starts talking to her,
taunting her too. I love.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, you know, has to remember what the spider says, you know. And so it's like, okay, like it's all dream speak to her, but it's basically when she goes back into real time. She's in the cemetery and she's there with Poe, who's also a ghost, a much older ghost. You know, Poe's like, hey, how are you? You know, so what's going on? What happened? What are we doing? And so she goes through the clues, and then they talk, and then it's kind of like, here we are. We're off on the next adventure.
Yeah.
This is what we have to do. It's all work. They have to figure this stuff out. This is their journey, you know. And this is helping them. They're not just, hey, we're just good ghosts. We're not Casper, you know. I mean, we're here to also help ourselves get on to the next place.
So Poe. So is Poe and not anyone in particular?
Poe is a very I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot that's revealed about Poe and her whole thing starting in this next issue, but by the 4th issue, which will be out in late July, you hear it all. So Poe's not entirely honest with Charlotte about who she is, and so they're good friends and all, but she hasn't really told her the whole deal. And so the next issue really, but they are a definite team. They go together. They're perfect. They balance each other out. You know what I mean? Poe's very ancient and is also very flippant, but also knows her way around. Charlotte is still very wide-eyed, idealistic, and always wants to help everybody. And not that Poe doesn't, but So they happen to see this. They're talking, and she tells her about the clues, and then they see this little boy, and suddenly these things start to make sense across the street. Look, that's kind of what I saw in the Queen.
I also love the little keyhole symbol it looked like on his shirt as well.
Yeah.
So was there any significant symbolism behind that?
I don't. I might have to ask Steven, actually.
No, you're fine, because obviously this was a representation of the spider in the bucket. So I was just a little curious because
I know that's another good. See, that makes me think now. I mean, these are things that I don't catch as I'm doing them.
So you do plant some really good foreshadowing in the issue 1 too. That a lot of stuff from issue 1 really bleeds heavily into issue 2, and I really appreciated that. I like the nods that you planted and the little seeds you planted.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah. They're a good team. You don't see as much of Poe in issue 1. You see more of her beginning in issue 2 at the very end. But really, I mean, Poe plays a very big role in the whole book as it goes along, and it's going to be coming out pretty fast and furious this summer.
So with Bobby, because Bobby's the child that we're seeing right here, and Luke, when we're both introduced to those characters, both times they're kind of being bullied. What was your idea behind that? The reason you went with that direction.
I mean, to me, it's always I'm a great believer in mean people suck, and it's just why do people have to be destructive? Just let people alone, And I always I just and we see so much of that now. We see so much darkness in the world now. I've never seen more darkness in the world than I have now. Somebody asked the other day, hey, you're old, have you ever seen a worse time? And I'm like, no, I have not, I'm sorry to say. You know what I mean? And I think that I take every opportunity now to point that up, hey man, you suck. You know what I mean? That sucks. Don't do that. Don't be an asshole. There's no need for that. And so I like to point up those kinds of things, and how awful it is that from childhood on up, people try and isolate other people. What's that all about? What are they doing? What are you getting out of that by isolating this person who hasn't done jack shit to you? But I think it's important to talk about things like that, because when I was growing up, people would say things like, it's just a normal part of growing up. No, it's not normal. It happens, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
And so I try and focus on real world things. And you see more of that in the second issue. And just, I mean, people are suffering. People are going through tough times.
Yeah, and I would say the second issue was a lot more of, you see a lot more of the darker side of I would say mental illness, that side of things. I really love the way you kind of had it designed, you know what I mean? The concept of everything as a whole, when you're going through the different personalities and the different characters.
It gets darker and darker as it goes on, but they're, Charlotte and Poe are determined to bring the light, make things right, and also have a few laughs along the way. And that's another thing. My God, what's so great about this? I get to laugh. I get to talk about all this stuff, and I get to laugh too. I didn't get to laugh in my old job. You know what I mean? It was always very, we're trying to save people from committing suicide.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah, it was very heavy work for a long time, and I didn't get to. There was nothing to joke about. These things were going into schools. We're not making a joke about it. I'm not going to make a joke about it now either. But the point is, with this format, with this surrealism, I can just. I can afford myself a place where I can also, they can make a joke when they're in the middle of danger, which I always loved about Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always making a joke about something that he's practically getting killed. You know what I mean? And I love that. And I think that's, laugh, have fun.
Did you like No Way Home?
I didn't see it. I know. My nephews are like all over my shit about this, right? I mean, I promise. I got so many things to see, and I still I keep trying to catch up. And my nephews are like, "Did you see No Way Home? Did you see the new Batman?" I said, "I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there." But I would like to see it. I would like to see it. I was a big fan of the beginning of the old Tobey Maguire stuff. I used to take my nephews, my niece and I think just my nephew, my one nephew. We used to want to go to see those, and I was a big fan of those movies.
Yeah.
As much. I watched some of the Andrew Garfield stuff, but life. But I am looking forward to seeing it at some point.
No, absolutely. So right here we see Charlotte come to Bobby's rescue. She intervenes.
Right.
And I love this too, the glowing eyes. She's like, well, maybe you should be. And then they just run off like, oh my God, is that his sister?
Yeah, right.
Which this was another interesting callback I felt, because in that film I seen, we seen the mom, when she was talking to her coworker about Charlotte, that was like his sister. That was Luke's sister. Right. So I thought that was another interesting callback to that. Was that intentional, or was that,
you know what, Cody, see, you remember we were talking before the show started, these are things that are probably happening in my subconscious and I don't even know it. So, I mean, that wasn't intentional, consciously, but you have a really, that could be what I was thinking.
I try to do a good job of doing my homework.
I don't even I swear to God, man, I write the stuff and then I forget that what I wrote. We used to be on set, and people would, I would think people were improvising. And I'd say, that's awesome. I love what you just did there. And they said, well, that's in the script. I said, oh, really? I don't know. I really, truly forget all this stuff. I write it down and then I forget about it. And I don't, I do see things, but sometimes a long time later, oh, I think I was trying to say that, I don't know what I'm doing.
And I love this right here, where we're seeing him talking about how his mom sews this outfit. And I mean, at the end, it just, reading this now, it just seems like such a harmless thing. But at the end, it's like, oh my God, making that outfit, oh my God.
yeah, that's pretty creepy. Yeah.
So the introduction, we kind of see them breaking the ice with each other, and I really love this dialogue. Was it is it hard writing from a female perspective? Do you have to have this do you do any beta reading to make sure you're kind of nailing this role, or what do you do to make sure?
No, and again, it goes back to, I think, my previous job, which is interviewing teenagers for so many years and hearing so many voices, and I think that it helps. I mean, I have a daughter, who's in her early 20s, and but it doesn't, because to me, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me. It's just easy for me to write. I found that as time went on, I started out writing a lot of guys, when I was doing theater and things like that, writing plays. But as time went on, it became easier and easier to write from a female perspective, because I think there's just so much more room to be expressive. And I find, you know what I mean? And so I think when, that kind of I find it very attractive to write from a female voice. But again, I'm not trying. Everybody's basically, it's okay, well, I'm wearing this costume. I'm a girl. Hi, I'm a boy. You know what I mean? It's not. They're all people. You turn off the lights and everybody's just a person. And I think I look at it that way. And so I don't really get too heavy into. I just know that I don't know. Again, this is just what it feels like, and I find it a lot more fun to write for female characters because they're just, they can do more things, they can say more things. And again, this is my age group. See, this is not speaking as someone today. This is speaking for someone from a long time ago. And it's the way that I was when I grew up, it was still, the roles were very different. And I was
gonna say, like, for having that mindset, it seems like you had a very like polarizing mindset compared to like how everything was back in the day.
Yeah, I was never really I didn't buy into it. You know what I mean? Like I was never that was never my thing. And that's the thing is I think I figured out early on is like, you either buy into stuff or you don't. And you could see people doing things and say, well, that's not right. That's not, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that doesn't seem right. And I remember being in kindergarten, and I was always crazy about girls too. Mm-hmm. Like from little on up, I was always in love, And so I would, in kindergarten, I would see the boys in the class, it was, playtime. And they'd have these big ass wooden trucks that guys would get on and ram into each other. I'm like, what the hell is that all about? You know what I mean? I don't feel like getting hurt. I just want to get on a truck, And so, but I was like, the girls were over here because the girls had to play across the room with a they had their own little house and babies and stuff. So I used to be bored, and I would just like knock on their door and pretend to be one of them and scare them, just like just to kind of interact with them. You know what I mean? And just have fun with them. But I was always crushing on this girl or that girl, or you know what I mean?
A little heartbreaker from day one. Let's go.
Girls were just more interesting. Guys were just so freaking stupid. It was like, why? Why do I want to write about people who are like buying into this kind of like, Neanderthal thing? It's like, that's no fun. That's pretty limiting,
That's awesome. So, no, that is awesome. And I can see a lot of where you're coming from too. I never had the opportunity to write or be script or anything, but I can almost I do know one thing, that if you do something for so long, it becomes second nature to you. It becomes natural to you. For me, for an interview, I can prep an interview in like probably half an hour if I was really forced to do it.
Right.
And it would still be just as good as one that I prepped an hour for or 2 hours for. Just like you talking to so many people over and over and over, I'm almost positive that did you have trouble not creating like limiting the characters you created? Like, did you ever have an issue where you were wanting to create too much?
No, because I think I know why the character's there.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? And like this is like, for me, what they symbolize or whatever. Like, and I don't mean to cut it down and make it soulless. I don't mean that, but I mean, I feel like, for instance, I said earlier that Charlotte and Poe are me, just two different sides of me or whatever. Yeah. That's true. It's very true. But so Poe's this side, Charlotte's, where things go. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, you represent this, you represent that, you're this. You know what I mean? Like, they're all colors.
Yeah, and, you got a vision. No, I get that.
That's the only way I can describe it. They're all just colors, and they have to go here, or there. That's all.
So we see this is things are starting to build up. The infamous candy corn. So do you have like a knack for candy corn? Is that one of your favorite candies as well?
I freaking hate candy corn. You know what I mean? I think it's disgusting, like most people think. But now the fact that Charlotte has made it her thing early on, because when I put the costume together for the film, I was looking around like, what does she wear? What is she, And so I said, well, she's got this orange biker's jacket, she's got black jeans, she's got Doc Martens, and what else can make her more Halloweeny? And then I was on like Etsy. I'm thinking, what's some Halloween jewelry? And somebody was making this, this candy corn necklace, and I said, score. That's it, man. That's it. But no, I don't have a love for candy corn, but Charlotte apparently does.
Hey, that's good. She could eat all the candy corn she wants, And then we are getting ready to meet the infamous mom, and I love right here. All right, Spider Boy. You saying you loved Spider Boy earlier? I kind of loved the little throwback there. Was that?
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and then she's starting to get a really weird feeling. I really loved how you kind of built up the climax. Because we don't know that this is the climax at this point. We're still like kind of like wondering what exactly is going on. So I really loved like the feeling that's starting to develop at that point when I was reading it. And I'll be honest, when I hit this part, I was wondering if we were going to see the mom like as an alcoholic or just some sort of trash mom. I wasn't expecting what was coming next.
Yeah, they're in there, looking around. Charlotte's kind of like, yeah, why does this feel wrong? This is weird. Like,
and we see her notice
gigantic on the inside.
And it's much smaller from the outside, optical illusion.
She starts feeling funny, So then she's trying to basically get out of there, Well, I'm ahead of myself here, but on this page, she's just, talking to him. Hey, what's this? Yeah, okay.
All right. I love the rock.
Yeah.
And then he's like, here, this is for helping me too.
And he gives her this little, stone. Oh, here, did you take this? You like them so much, here, take one, the colored stone. Oh, okay, whatever.
I really love the art too. The artists for issue 1 and 2 did a really good job of like creating like the dream world and like the visualization of like the optical illusions and stuff.
Yeah, Steven really did a nice job with perspectives, and that's all him. I mean, really, that's him. And then she's like, okay, not feeling so good.
Yeah. And then he's like, it wasn't that funny, dude. Why do I feel so loopy? And then we find out that there was something in that candy corn.
Or was it the stone?
Hey, I never thought about that.
Hey?
So, things are getting darker and darker. This hallway is mysteriously longer than it should be. And
hello, Mom.
Yeah, boom. I love this little part of him running out of his little human skin costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, we'd love to have you for dinner. Come on over.
Yeah, this was such a brutal scene. So why have why have the mom as a spider? What was your reasoning behind that design? I think number one, the thing that scares me, like my favorite monster, I should say the monster that terrifies me, not my favorite. They're witches. Witches terrify me. So the fact that we've got a mom here, and she's a spider, and she's got all these, legs, and she can do, that I think because we're talking about females, earlier, and like writing for them and all that. I loved, from little on up, I always thought women were way more interesting, but I also was terrified. The fact that I would see things like on TV about witches, and I'm not going to get into too many personal things, but the fact that people could turn on a dime, you know what I mean? And this, mother figure or whatever that you worshipped could go very dark. So when I see the spider like this, the mom figure like that, you know what I mean? That's what I think about. And, something that would be coming at you from every angle. And how the hell do I manage this? You know what I mean? I love Bobby running too. Just like running like, hey, Mom. Like, yeah.
Yay. Yeah, exactly. So poor Charlotte's gotten herself into a mess because she leads with her heart. And I love that about her. And that's the next issue.
I love Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web.
So did the name come first? Like, did you have the idea for Charlotte Web and then you built up the spiders?
No, and it's funny. My buddy Phil asked me that the other week. We were at breakfast. He said, well, I thought you got that from Charlotte's Web. And I'm going to basically cut to my big reveal here. Charlotte is named Charlotte because of a singer-songwriter, Charlotte Martin, who is an indie singer-songwriter who I am a massive fan of. And when we were doing the Halloween Girl film, I connected with her on Facebook, being a stalker. And she was like, we were she had some music that we were trying to license, just a little tiny piece of music for the film. And it looked like it might happen. In the end, we didn't have the budget for it. But Charlotte was very excited about it and all. So now flash forward all these years later, she's doing all kinds of different things now. And so I just reached out to her recently And she goes, I remember you. And I'm thinking, oh, great.
Oh, that's so cool.
She's writing a song for the book this fall.
Oh, dude, let's go.
That's my big reveal. So
Let's go.
Charlotte is named after Charlotte Martin, who I even write. Look, Charlotte Martin, because I'm a geeky fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. She's like very haunting, she's very Tori Amos, Kate Bush. She's in that, but such light and she reminds me of the character a lot. Even looks a little bit like the character.
That is so awesome.
So Charlotte is a tribute to Charlotte Martin.
So how does it feel to finally be getting that song?
One song that you might know. It's a long time ago. Every Time It Rains, I think it was out this is like 15 years ago, and it was very popular in the indie charts and all that stuff at the time. Check her out if you don't know. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
how's that feel to finally get her on board though? After trying to,
she's like I'm 100% in. I'm saying to my wife and daughter, this is messed up. Like we watch her concerts, you know what I mean? Like when she does like on stage things and online, and it's like, this is messed up. This can't be happening. This is like, we love Charlotte Martin. So it's amazing. And I mean, I'm a massive fan of hers.
That's so awesome.
We were doing like the educational stuff. I would slip like CD covers and things like that on the wall of the character's room with, in the background of her stuff, just to push her.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
I'm a total geek for her. But she's worth checking out. You like spooky stuff and you like beautiful music. She is it.
So thank you for looking over issue 1 with us. That was such an awesome time. I loved breaking it down. So where are we at next? We were talking earlier. You said you have a big launch coming up soon. You're going to be taking pre-orders for it. So let's kind of start breaking down where people can find that and how they can do it. Right.
We've got issue 1 and issue 2 out, and we are going to be releasing issue 3 on Amazon just as a digital download. On Amazon in early July, and Pedro Vaughn is doing the art for that, and Cadu Ferraz has done an incredible cover for it. Actually, hold on, Cadu.
That is gorgeous.
Cover for the 3rd issue.
Ooh, so is that have you shown that anywhere?
Not really. No.
Ooh, so we're getting a little exclusive look.
Like a little tiny bit, but not a lot. No. Just I haven't really done a big reveal on it yet. So, but yeah. So I'm really excited. That's going to come out in July, and then the 4th issue will probably come out in early August, late August. We'll have the 5th. So the book will be out in the fall. I'm hoping it's out by Halloween, but we'll see.
So. Easiest way to keep track of that though, is that on Twitter, your website?
Easiest way to keep track is on either Twitter. I do a lot more stuff on. I was off Facebook for a couple years and only just got back on because of the book, because I hate Facebook.
Oh, me too. God,
I really hate it.
It throttles you. It makes you almost have to pay for the reach. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I Instagram is pretty cool. Instagram's alright, but Twitter is the one I really like the most. Twitter, the community there and everything. I mean, it's just a bunch of geeks. We all love each other, and so it's like we have a good time.
It was an obvious choice to keep it geekly at that point. Then
that's why I was like, I said we got to hook up with Cody. This is awesome. He's doing good work. So basically, I'm very excited to have the book out and about at some point at the end of the year. Even if it doesn't make it for Halloween, it'll be out, because it's going to be out, man.
So you're doing everything on your own, like self-publishing, right? So what's that look like for you? When you would, like, let's say for issue 3, you're doing the pre-orders. When you get ready to set that up, are you going to the sending it to the printer? Are you sending it out? Like, what's that process?
What I'm doing, I'm keeping this whole campaign with doing it issue by issue is just basically to raise awareness about the work and the characters. And I'm really happy with the reception. It's been really nice. And so it's only a digital download. We won't go to print until the book itself comes out, the full graphic novel, and that's where I'm going. So this was the experiment, essentially. It's more just to get it out there, talk about it, get people aware of it, and go slowly, let people introduce them to these characters, because there's a lot more Charlotte, a lot more Halloween Girl after this book. I mean, I'm writing the 4th book right now, and I think I might have enough gas to get started on the 2nd one.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah. So that's pretty, but yeah, I mean, I had the resources, I mean, again, I've been doing stuff for a long time, so I was able to put some things together. I'm fortunate. I wouldn't be doing this if I were like a lot of creators who were like 25. I'm not that guy, so I'm able to. I've been in business for myself for a long time, so I've got I don't have a ton of resources, but I have enough that I can, take this crack.
It has to be exciting though, gearing towards getting this printed. How many pages in total are you looking at?
I think it's only like 158 pages or something.
Wow, that's still a big book.
Seven issues. So
yeah, that's still a good read.
Yeah, and I'm really, 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 no matter what's going on in the book, there's joy through it. And I mean, if they really are, no matter what's going on, they're having fun too. Mm-hmm. And they're helping each other out. They're trying to do the right thing. It's not very Poe-faced, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mean Poe, but I mean, it's not very serious. It's like, it's serious. There's lots of things going on, but there's also a lot of, celebration. I mean, we're here, there's goodness in the world too. And we're going to, be part of that. We're going to get behind that, No,
I love like that mentality, like going about it that way. Cause I really do. I mean, you were talking about it earlier. I really do think that's kind of what you need to do. You need to like just do it yourself. You need to just admit it yourself, that the good vibes, the good energy, and just keep doing it. And eventually everyone flocks together. The right people will start flocking in your circle.
That's how I feel. And that's been my experience in my life, that, bringing people, the people I've worked with, the cast and crew and all that, for all the people I've worked with for all those years, they are the best. And they're also some of my very best friends now, you know what I mean? But they're good people. Mm-hmm. And they do good work. And, I think people get it in their head that in order to affect change, you have to start your own nonprofit. You know what I mean? No, just hold the door. Just smile at somebody, you know what I mean? Without being creepy.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I'm just saying, you do it in your life every day, and I mean, if people don't think that's enough, they have to make sure that there's a page about it. It's like, no, just do the right thing. People are watching. You know what I mean? And they're being affected. So just do it. You don't need a movie made about you.
I hate that so much when people are like giving cheeseburgers to the homeless and they're like got a camera in their face. Like, that is like they're at the lowest point in their life. Like, why are you like filming that?
Right. So they can put it on their Facebook page.
Yes. Yes. And make money from it that they're never going to give to that guy.
Right, exactly. Right. So there's like I said, I mean, you just have to kind of put your head down and do the right thing in the day-to-day, the boring, the mundane, the stuff that doesn't have, you're not going to get a parade for it. Just, but that can make all the difference in the world to somebody. It really can. And
absolutely.
So that's all. And I hope these guys, exude some of that for people who read the books.
So before we start wrapping things up, Richard, let's go ahead and give you the spotlight. For anyone that is out there and they're on the fence about pre-ordering issue 3, pre-ordering issue 4, what would you like to say to them directly to kind of help get them through that barrier and help sell them this book?
Well, I'll tell you, this book is for I would say a young adult audience, and older. I mean, it's for anybody. I mean, but it's not, it's. Some people are saying, "Hey, it'd be a great TV show," but it's something that if you like an adventure series, if you like something where you have people working together to solve problems, to do and go lots of cool, crazy places, this is it. And it's not something that's going to. I think you can get into it pretty easily. I think that I like to think Charlotte and Poe are pretty friendly, that they're going to say, yeah, come on in, and it's not going to be something that's going to be this big, I need to read everything to understand what's going on in issue 6. It's like, no, I think you could, I think you can dive in and have a good time no matter where you meet us at and have fun. And I think that if you like horror comics, this is not hardcore scary, like we're gonna this is adventure. This is Buffy meets the Sandman. You know what I mean? This is what it is, and it's fun. And I mean, I was just watching Buffy last night, actually, thinking, yeah, okay, we get comparisons there too, which is, and I think they're apt. It's fun. It's a bunch of kids having fun, and also, I think talking about some pretty heavy things in between. So, I think there's something to be. I mean, it reflects what's going on in real life too. So it's not just, hey, Scooby Doo, No,
so absolutely.
That's all I can say in a roundabout way. That's so, dive in. They'd love to meet you.
So let's go ahead and finish this off strong. For anyone that's out there that's watching, I like to use this as promotion for you and your material. But with that being said, it is kind of like a learning tool for a lot of new creators too. They're watching this, or they're picking up ideas, picking up tips. So with that being said, for anyone that's kind of struggling just to get started, maybe writing their own script, their own plot, for their own comic or show, what type of advice would you give them to kind of help them work through that barrier?
I love giving this advice. Grab an empty notebook and just start talking to yourself out loud in the notebook. Start asking yourself every question about the story you've got in your head, because that's what I was going to say to you. I can tell you're going to write a story. You got it. Like it's kind of, I've listened to enough. I know that you're going to write a story. Sit down. Don't make it about it. Forget orthodoxy. Forget, there's a way to do things, and buy this book. It'll teach you how to be. Man, just sit down and if you're engaged, someone else is going to be engaged. It's just a question of putting the puzzle pieces together. Where's this thing with? This is just me talking to myself. Okay, that's all. Don't know what I'm doing. I've got scenes all out of order. I've got notes to myself here on the side. That's all you need to do. You need to jump in, and from that, it all starts to come together. But if you sit down and say, I need to write one page and have it be, no, just
it'll never happen.
Spend time goofing off in the notebook and exploring. Where do they go? Well, why are they going there? Literally write that down. See, this is the thing. People think, well, if I write something with a pen on paper, it's got to be something meaningful. No. Pretend you're in a band. You're the Beatles. You're trying to come up with a song. They're not coming right up with the song. They're figuring the song out. That's what you do here. Doesn't have to be purple, but that's what you do. And you've got to riff. You've got to give yourself time to riff and explore, and it's a lot of fun. And anybody who's doing hard work, when that's the fun part, to dive in and explore, and have the guts to be goofy, and say, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? Write it, say it out loud, and say it out loud here, and then from there, the story will emerge. That is the best writing advice I can give. Not, write what you know. Well, of course you're writing what you know. If you're not writing what you know, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're being an idiot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, don't write to make money. Don't write to, impress anybody. Tell something that you got to get off your chest, whatever it is, and you'll be fine. You've got a story in you. Everybody's got a story in them. You just got to have you have to ask yourself the question and have the balls to stick around for the answer. That's what writing is.
I love it. That was such an awesome response. You like jamming too, don't you? Jamming guitar?
I don't. I love rock and roll.
I was gonna say, you made so many references. Like, this dude has to be jamming.
I used to be like a singer in garage bands when I was a kid.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I used to do little vocals too. It's such a different energy being a front man, isn't it? Seeing people in front of you. Yes.
Hold on 1 second, real quick.
Yes. Ooh, we're gonna see something good.
This is. Here you go.
Let's go. Let's go.
There he is.
The hairdo. I love it.
Up. You can't see it, but you get the idea.
No, I get it.
That was me. Ages ago, when the world was young. So yeah, that's what I used to do. So I love rock and roll. I to this day, I love rock and roll. And that's really what the vibe is. It's got. I think the stories have to have that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think right now is a perfect time for us to rock and roll our way to the end. Hey, that's probably one of my best segues yet to date. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Yeah,
great.
Thank you so much, everyone that's tuned in. I hope you guys are all having an awesome Tuesday. Richard, thank you so much for coming on, breaking Halloween, girl, and a deep dive at issue 1. I always love doing that. That was such a fun time.
Thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening, watching. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Everyone, I hope you have an awesome night. Most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.